Hi and welcome back to the video tutorial number 3. We are now going to discuss the topic of networking. And I think we'll stop being serious. I was very serious because we were discussing attitude, and that's a very serious topic for myself. Yeah. And now I'm going to ask Nolan for his American opinion to give us difference between networking and what we call prekoveze. So please, yeah.
Yeah, I've spoken to many young people who tell me, the only way that you get a job in Croatia is prekoveze, through connections. And sometimes when I've asked them what they really mean by that, I've come across an interesting, almost contradiction, I would say. So I'd like to kind of tell you two stories and let you think a little bit as I'm speaking about whether there's a difference between them. One is, let's say there's a guy named Bojan. Bojan is about to finish college, is looking for a job. His mother is a purchasing agent in a large Croatian company. So she sends his resume to several of the different suppliers that work for her, that she buys from, saying, my son's looking for a job. Would you like to interview him? Do you have any openings? And at least one of them get back to her and say, sure, we'll take a look. Let's say there's another guy. Let's say he's Sasha. Sasha's also about to finish college, is looking for a job. Sasha's really interested in science fiction and technology, and so he's volunteered for Svericon, this big conference that happens for science fiction writing and things like that in Croatia every year. And because he volunteers at this thing, he meets people who have real jobs. He tells them, I'm looking for a job. And several of them say, well, yeah, you've done pretty good work on this, so send me a resume. Maybe we can set up a time to talk. And the question is there a difference between those things? Actually, I think there's a huge ethical difference between them. In the first situation, someone who is whose mother or close relative is a purchasing agent in a large company has actual power. And so when she sends resumes out to the people she buys from, their thought is, oh my goodness, if we don't interview this guy and give him a job, we might lose our business. And so that's nepotism. That's prekoveze in the sense that people hate in Croatia. But the other example is perfect networking of the sort you should all be active in doing while you're still in school. Volunteer, be involved in different things where you're going to be rubbing shoulders with people who already have real jobs. And in that way, you'll both learn about what's going on in the market, you'll be able to get advice from people, and you very well might meet the person who actually connects you to your first real job in life. And that is nothing but being proactive and being assertive in the way that we're trying to encourage you to be in this series.
Yep, I would like to say a couple of things how you should enlarge your network, because basically that is the only way or the best way to get a job. Because if you're an employer, let's say we have a company and we want to employ some young person, giving an ad and then receiving 100, 200, 500 CVs, well, that's not going to work for us.
It's overwhelming for small employers to deal with that many responses.
Well, the first thing we are going to do, we are going to see in our company, it's like 100 people. Right. We have like 100 people. We're going to see, do we have a person for that position? If we don't have a person for that position, we are going to talk to our business colleagues. Right. We will ask our business colleagues, do you have a person we can employ? Let's say marketing, we need a marketing assistant. They will take care of our PR and advertising stuff. And after that, when our business colleagues say that they do have or don't have, then we will enlarge our circles. But what we are going to look for is referral.
Yeah, I know. And I think looking at you through this video, I can imagine many of you just thinking, that's so wrong. That's through connections. That's not fair for the people who don't know anyone, who don't have those kind of connections. But you have to understand how it feels from the other side of the table as well. To do cold job interviews with hundreds of people you've never seen before and have no referrals to and no ability to trust because somebody you know knows them is so intimidating for an employer as well. Because what if this person looks great on paper but is totally crazy? It means so much to you when you get just even, hey, yeah, I have this friend who, his younger brother is still in school and is looking for a job and he's not crazy. That means so much for an employer who really wants to hire a good person onto their team. And I know that how terrible that can sound to somebody who feels like you don't have those connections. So again, that what it comes down to is that you have to become one of those people who gets out there and happens to be in the right place at the right time for some of those kind of referrals. There's a lot of ways to do that.
Well, I would say that there's like a difference in my opinion, difference between networking and getting the job through the network and then prekoveze.
Yeah. Oh, that's what we're trying to emphasize.
Well, in networking, I would say that you do have required knowledge, skills, and attitudes that you can add value in that workplace. But if you got it prekoveze, then I would say you don't have.
Oh yeah, and that's what shows up very quickly is that if you volunteered in something and showed that you're a reliable person and that helps you get to a job, then you're going to be a reliable person on that job. If you just get a job because you happen to be related to someone, you're going to show up there and have no idea what you're doing and you're not motivated because this thing just fell in your lap.
Well, the point is, if you are serious about your career and you finish your school and maybe you go then to grad school and you're reading every day about your career, about the industry, and you are enlarging your knowledge and your skills, then it's a very reasonable move to come first to your parents, then to your relatives, and say, look, this is what I know how to do. This is what I want to do. Do you have friends in these industries, in these companies that I could go and talk to?
Yeah.
And trust me on this one. Either if you're a business owner or a manager in some company, you will always devote 5, 10, or 15 minutes to talk to the young person who has something smart to say.
Yeah.
Because in today's market, in global economy, the jobs are changing so fast, the markets are changing so fast, the preferences are changing so fast that people actually want to hear what a young person has to say.
And people like to talk about what they do. People like to talk about themselves. So if you seek out someone and say, can we go out for coffee? And even if you're young, you can afford, the 20 kuna it costs to buy 2 people coffee. You can go out with someone and say, tell me about your work. Tell me about this market. I want to understand it better. And whether or not they're in any position to hire anybody, people like to talk about what they do and about what that job is like. And they like to tell you kind of what's going on.
Well, and then comes that funny situation. You got 100 CVs. And there are like 99 no names.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's your name on
Yeah.
it. And you already established yourself as a motivated person who likes to learn, right?
Yeah.
Who likes to work. Because you come out and say, I want this work. That's why I'm talking to you. Okay, I understand. In your marketing department, you don't have openings right now, but maybe in 3 months. Or maybe you have a colleague in another company that actually does.
Yeah. And the more you get to know industry so often is very different from what you learned in school. This is one of the great, tragedies of much of the university education in the world today is that the university lines up to teach certain subjects and hires a professor to do it, and the professor will teach that subject for 50 years. And so it's very static. The job market is very dynamic and changes very quickly. So it's a very huge shift from the kind of knowledge maybe you got in school, the things that it seemed to tell you this is what people in my field do, and then in reality in the real world. So ask around, meet people and say, what do people really do in the real world who are finished marketing or who finished electrical engineering? What do people actually go out and do? And you'll start to learn a whole lot of terminology you've never heard before. Key account manager, customer relationship management. Some of these things you might really seem like science fiction to you at first, but you start to get into it, take some notes, go back to the internet, look it up, and you'll start to really get an idea of what the job market looks like.
I would give a following advice. Make yourself a mind map, like a large piece of paper, put yourself in the center, and then start drawing branches. So you can start mom, dad, uncle, sister, of course, and your best friends, parents, your professors at university, your neighbors at Dalmatian Coast, everybody you can always ask. But what you have to do, you have to be professional. You have to do your homework. We're going to do in a later video how to do your homework. But when you do your homework, and when they see dedication and professionalism in a young person, I don't think there's a single person who is not going to refer you or who is not going to call somebody and give recommendation for you.
In the last video, we mentioned the idea of somebody who's kind of sitting at home, still in their underwear, getting up at 11:30, just sending out resumes on the internet and saying, well, at least I tried today. A huge shift would be a kind of person who actually gets up at the right time every day and is out there and is volunteering several hours a day and is asking people to have coffee with you. No strings attached. I know you're not hiring right now, but I'd still love to hear about kind of what you guys do. And it's the process of doing that for months that leads to some sort of just moment where you say, I don't know how I found this job. This guy called me. I never would have thought this would have happened, but because I had talked to this one guy, he talked to this other person, blah, blah, blah. That's how jobs are really found in this kind of economy.
And for the end, I just want to say one thing. Let's say that you want to join some political party, the youth part. And well, if you're a good soldier, you will probably get some job. They will find you a job, either on national or some regional level. I just want to warn you. If you're so young at this stage of career, if at this young age you decide to give up the control regarding how you will develop your career, sooner or later, maybe 5 years from now, maybe 10, maybe 20, you will have to pick up that tab.
Yeah.
And somebody sooner or later will ask you for your knowledge and for your skills, what you can do.
That's a great point. It's a life-determining decision if you get your first real job in life based on your own hard work, your own networking, your own assertiveness to get out there and to do it. It sets your whole life on a track of knowing that you are able to do what you need to do, that you don't have to be afraid of anyone, that you're not just dependent upon someone else who got you that thing. It's a great way to start off your life.
For me, it always comes back to, do you have a right to job, or do you have the right to add value to somebody else?
That's a great point.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.